Salaam Alaykum, this is Shaykh Ibrahim. Today I would like to talk about propulsion on the spiritual path. Sometimes certain realizations or experiences propel us towards a spiritual path. Here's some examples. You realize suddenly that you know nothing. What you do know is so infinitesimal, it will take just a minute to list it. You realize you have no power. Everything comes from somewhere else, and when you do try to do something, your personal will gets in the way. You understand that this place is a school. You've learned a lot, and now it's time to articulate the lessons and figure out what and if you've learned. You are prideful. You think you are the center of the universe, and you know that's not right. You find yourself judging everyone. You think you're better than others, and that's not right. You think you know better and wish that would stop. Life isn't as fair as you wished or expected. You've heard that humility and sincerity are important, whatever they are. Everything is a paradox. Teachers don't know everything. You don't know who you are, and finally, there's a crisis. Perhaps it's a physical, mental, or emotional breakdown. Somebody's in the hospital, somebody dies, somebody gives birth, somebody has a meltdown. So, here you are, desperate enough, or crazy enough, or courageous enough, and curious enough, or confused enough to listen to this podcast by some fool who won't give you straightforward advice. And that's because the next steps you take are your own. Now, there are a lot of shops and shopkeepers just waiting for you to wander through. Self-help books, guru talkers will be more than happy to take your money and point out special ways for you to buy their special advanced spiritual methods, be special in a special group, learn to channel, talk to the dead, read auras, or learn to manifest wealth. Any of those are a path, just not the one that prophets, saints, and creditable teachers speak of. If they tell you that they know the path to make you rich and famous, well, that's not a spiritual path. That is the opposite of what any of the great prophets and saints have taught over thousands of years. So first, there is no perfection in this life. This is a practice, and there's getting better. There's learning how to learn from failure, but there is no perfect being in this world. Second, everyone makes mistakes. There is no learning without mistakes and failure. Failure is one of the ways to learn. Being human means to grow and learn. Learning means that it is important and vital that you make mistakes and fail. But once you've made a mistake, it's not okay to make the same mistake. The point is that you must learn how to learn, how to go deep inside, and reflect on what has happened to you these past years. What have you learned? How do you know what you know? In this case, I mean that gnosis of experience and knowledge that cannot be removed from your being. Unconditional love, a deep understanding about someone or something, not facts or opinions, the knowing that is part of you that cannot be removed. And whether it was the answer to an important question, an experience, a person, a love, a crisis, you were taken to the underground spring of unity and drank of the sacred water. Once that touches your tongue, once that divine wine enters you, there is no going back. You only want more. No substitution will do. There are knowledgeable guides, but you should be aware that you are like a child. You are naive. You may think you know what's what, but that is the dead part of you trying to resurrect itself. That self needs to stay buried. It is important to be wary and discriminating. Again, there is no perfect being. The guides are just humans like you and make mistakes. But their experiences will assist the traveler into the spiritual foreign parts. Now, once you begin this journey, you will discover it is the opposite of what you were taught. Everything will turn upside down. This is more about unlearning than it is about learning. It is about letting go of things and ideas rather than gathering and collecting facts, opinions, books, or teachers. To return to knowing your heart, you need to get everything else out of the way. One method of assessing whether a teacher, teaching, book, or information is useful is to give it the I test. Does it stress focusing on something greater than yourself? If so, that's good, usually. Or does it make you focus on yourself, making you the center of the universe again? If so, that's generally not so helpful. The biggest problem is that you are the one in the way of yourself. That means your family, your culture, how you have adapted from experiences stick like mud all over you. And before you can even start to walk, this caked dirt must be scrubbed and cleaned off. That is one of the purposes of an established spiritual path, like Sufism. Expectations are another stone that hampers you from moving forward. Learning how to see your expectations and reactions will remove a great deal of that mud as well. As humans, we live in a sea of paradoxes, and learning how to observe them and then trusting your inner guide to find a way to resolve them is also part of a spiritual path. Subtlety and paradoxes will continue to appear, and your job is to observe, enjoy when you can, and let go of expectations when you can. Rumi says, your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. Salaam Alaykum, murids, seekers, curious, and interested listeners. We appreciate you and are happy to share our Sufi message. Your donation will help support our Sufi Center in Sydney, where we do zikr, sohbet, spiritual counseling, and healing services. We believe the message should be free, but it costs equipment, rental, services, software, and hardware to get this to you. So thank you for choosing our podcast among all the millions available. If you go to our website, AnsariSufiOrder.org, you will be able to donate through PayPal whatever you think this information is worth to you. Blessings and love, the Australian Ansari Sufi Order.